Good morning, Unity of Sarasota. Hey, everybody. Everybody out in TV land, too. Here's a really, really great song. Hope I can do it justice. I fly. I let it go. I release the thing I'm clinging to. I release what's holding me, and I'm falling into God's love. I let it be. There's nothing more I need to do, nothing more to say. I'm just falling into God's love. I feel Spirit holding me. It is lifting me on high. I rise on a power I can't see, and on the wings of love I fly. I fly. I let it go. I release the thing I'm clinging to. I release what's holding me, and I'm falling in awe of God's love. I let it be. There's nothing more I need to do, nothing more to say. I'm just falling into God's love. I feel Spirit holding me, and it is lifting me on high. I rise on a power I can't see, and on the wings of love I fly. I don't ask why, and I'm all I need to understand everything, and it's by faith I fly, and it's by grace I see, I see. The Spirit holding me, it is lifting me on high. I rise on a power I can't see, and on the wings of love I fly. And that's my workout for this morning.
Everybody's workout for today. Good morning, I'm Bruce McLaughlin, and welcome to this wonderful Unity of Sarasota on this wonderful day to wonderful music, wonderful people, and an incredible minister. So good morning. Okay, I'm going to warn you real quickly. This is the first time I've done this in 8 years since we moved up here, so bear with me today. We will get through this. Now, I will say there'll be no booing. Thunderous applause are graciously accepted, right? So there we go. So we're going to have fun today, I just know it. So if you would say with me what we have here up on the slide, we are a beacon of light and love, opening minds, touching hearts, and transforming lives. Okay, according to this, I'm supposed to read something. I don't know if there's a slide or not, but I will read it from here. We are an inclusive spiritual community that embraces empowering and life-affirming practical spirituality for richer living right now. We join the unity worldwide in creating a world that works for all. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome to join us. When I first came to Unity many years ago, there was one thing that they started out with, and saying that we welcome every race, color, creed, and every lifestyle. We are very inclusive, and that's one thing I love about Unity. So right now, what we're going to do is welcome guests. If you are here for the very first time, if you would stand and remain standing, we have a couple things for you. Scott Thompson, our board member on duty, will pass something out to you. And after the service, if you have any questions or want to know more about Unity, Scott will be in the fellowship room and answering any questions. So real quickly, where are you guys from here? Port Charlotte, both of you. Very much welcome. Back there, where are you from? Okay, I didn't hear you. Illinois? All right, fantastic. We're from Indiana, so we're almost neighbors. You guys?
We're locals from Sarasota.
You're loco or local? All right, we like that. Parish, welcome. Up the road, all right. Sarasota. I think I got everybody. Okay, these gifts that you received, one is a shell necklace. And like us human beings, every one of us are totally different, as every shell in the sea is. And these are held together by a string that we in Unity call love here. It's a string that binds us all together because we have far more things in common than we do differences, even though we are very unique individuals. The other thing is a welcoming packet, and if you will fill that out, and at the end of the service, you could put it in the offering basket or go to the umbrella table in the fellowship room and give it to Scott Thompson as well. Okay, next, are there any kids here today? If so, would you please stand up?
No children, Cheryl.
Okay, Ms. Cheryl said there's no children today, but let's say we bless the children out there in the world. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we see the living Spirit in you. Okay, now I think we start what I consider the commercial portion of the service, and we are going to talk about what's coming up here. One World Books and Gifts is your shopping spot for Mother's Day gifts. You see the slide up there, or Father's Day in June as well. Go through the fellowship room, and there's a lot of really cool stuff there that you can buy. We now have a Reiki healing class conducted by Anessa Raskin. Are you here, Anessa? Right here. When is your class?
So I'm actually offering Reiki healing service. It's not a class.
Oh, it's not a class, it's a service.
Yes.
Okay. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask Anessa after the.
In the fellowship hall.
She'll be in the fellowship hall afterwards. Thank you. The Shanghai SRQ Refuge Recovery. The change of meeting is now Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m. And I'm assuming that's here. Is that correct? Yes. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, I think that is the last thing I have to announce right now.
Let's all stand and sing the unity hymn together. Every prayer is answered, every prayer is heard, every thought and feeling, every spoken word, what your soul has longed for, what your heart can feel, is already here, is already real. There is no one out there, there is no one else. You hold all the answers deep inside yourself. There's a voice that whispers, there's no you, no me, there's just one, there's just unity. One power, one presence, one light to lead the way. All loving, all knowing, that answers when you pray. When the world looks darkest and your eyes can't see, gather all your troubles, give them all to me. I am always with you, I will always be. I am one, I am unity. We are one, we are unity.
Okay, I want to just take a moment and welcome Reverend Betty. For those of you that haven't been here in a couple weeks or are visiting, this is her first week with us. She's our new interim minister. I've heard her talk a couple times. She's an incredible speaker, and even more, she's an incredible human being. Reverend Betty.
Yay, I made it through the first week. So, good to see you again. And I invite you now to read with me the opening prayer. So together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, who is perfect life, perfect intelligence, perfect love, perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. You are an individualized expression of God. We are an individualized expression of God. Now we have some music.
And you can sing along with this song. A lot of you may know this one. The Prayer of St. Francis. Make me a channel of your peace, where there is bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardoning. Where there is doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. I swear I made those slides before I went up. They were good ones when I read them through. Oh, ask to grant that I might never seek. That one works. So much to be consoled as to console. To be understood as to understand. To be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. In giving of ourselves that we receive. And in dying, we are born to eternity.
I invite you now just to, if you'd like to close your eyes and just take a moment in the silence. So we're so grateful to be here this morning, to come together to support each other on our spiritual path. We feel this beautiful energy in the room. Feel your connection to the people around you, and let that connection grow so that you're aware that you are one. You are one in the one and as the one in the world. And let's send our love now together collectively out into the noosphere, that human thought cloud that circles the globe with sacred energy, universal principles, the pool of all possibilities, and feeling one among the whole human family everywhere. And we give thanks for that recognition that we are spiritual beings having this temporary earthly experience. And we come here to learn together, to allow space in our hearts to evolve spiritually, to fulfill the purpose that we have on this earth, to become the Christ. To recognize that we have the same consciousness that was in Jesus, that we are all one in God. Feel the warmth of that beautiful divine idea, the one. We are in God as one. And so it is. Amen and amen. So we're still talking about resurrection. I thought we should just keep that theme this whole month. You know, it's much too big an idea just to talk about on Easter, right? So I've been sort of contemplating the aspects of resurrection. And we know in the story of Jesus, we learn this cycle that actually we experience as humans on both a physical and a metaphysical level. So we are born, and we grow in stature and in social relationships. We grow in love over time, and then we meet challenges. It may feel like we're being forced to walk down a street with something heavy on our back. And sometimes we have periods where we feel persecuted and even locked in a tomb. That's just the human experience that we have. And it can happen over and over in little ways, as well as, you know, those big traumas in life. It can happen maybe when we just lose a piece of jewelry we like, or we have a little fender bender, or, you know, sometimes we just fall into the valley, right, on a daily basis. So it can happen on a daily basis. It can happen longer term if we've lost a loved one, or, you know, have a financial crisis, or lose perspective. We don't remember who we are or why we're here. These are all parts of the grief we sometimes feel, so that we feel in that dark place of the tomb. But it's really important when we are in that dark place that we remember that there is another phase coming. Resurrection. Resurrection. If we think of this in spiritual terms, we can trust that the dark will fade away as the light comes back. It will come back because the essence of who we are is light. We are divine light. We're made of God's stuff. And the light is always shining there in our soul, in the deepest spirit that we know is the essence of who we are. It's always there. So in our spiritual work, if we can just remember that, and as humans, if we could just remember that and not give up, that resurrection means renewing, rebirthing, starting again. There's always the possibility of a new beginning. And so every time we're sunk into that place where we feel we don't have any options, where we figure there's no way out of the situation, well, we're in that tomb. But there is a spiritual solution to every circumstance. Remember that Wayne Dyer quote? There's a spiritual solution to every situation. So when we're stressed even or overwhelmed in that void of uncertainty or doubt or fear, which can really take us, grab us, and if we give in to it, it just multiplies, right? Yeah, what we give our attention to multiplies. Basic, universal, metaphysical principle. Got to remember that. And we can always begin again. Now, one way of beginning again is to either find or identify or resurrect our purpose in life. And I do believe that collectively, as fully human, fully divine, that collectively our purpose spiritually is to find the Christ within us. In Unity, we call it the Christ consciousness, the Christ self. And you can call it, you know, your higher self, or the I am of us, or whatever you like for that sacred spark of divinity that's in all of us. And it's really important. I think that is our spiritual purpose. but I also think we have a human purpose. We're given unique gifts and talents, spiritual powers, and so our task then to do on earth is to discover those, that unique combination of gifts that are going to be expressed through our personality and our gifts to the world. We're here to help raise up the consciousness of all of humankind through purpose, through our human purpose. And so, next slide, please. Let's think about why purpose is important. And really it's important because it is the answer to why. Why do we exist? Why get up in the morning? What's our life about? You know, why are we this temporary bag of bones and cells and systems on Earth, you know, these just whirling through space on this rock, you know? I mean, what's it all about? So, some of you may have read the book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He was an Austrian psychologist who actually spent time in Auschwitz. And he began to get curious why some people survived and others gave up. And that was when they gave up, when they fell out, when they couldn't work anymore, you know, they were headed to the showers. And he kept noticing and studying this idea of what is it, you know, that is that piece of resilience in those people who survived. And he noticed that those who survived had a deeper purpose, that they had figured out something that they could offer beyond their misery and their worry and their fear and their anxiety every day, because every day there was a life or death issue in those camps. And the ones who survived figured out something else that they could live for, that they could get out of bed for. And others, he noticed, even gave in and became part of the persecutors. You know, they worked for the Nazis. Their own people were keeping them in line and giving them orders. And, you know, if they had just succumbed to what to them was the enemy, of course, the torturers. So there were many examples, like some of the people, you know, would steal some bread at the lunchtime and then take it back to people who were in the bunkers or the where they were sleeping there. They would take food to people who weren't able to have, you know, get in line and wait for it and be given just a little bit of porridge or bread or whatever. So they were the nurturers. They had a purpose of nurturing others. That's a possibility of a purpose. Has anybody seen the movie A Beautiful Life? It was it's fairly old now, but it was, I think, a Best Picture or something award. And it was a story in one of those camps of this family, and the father decided to create a fantasy for the young child who was with them as well. And he didn't want him to be afraid, so he had a whole story to teach him about. They were in a game. They were in a fun game. They were going to be able to sneak around the buildings, and if they heard loud fighting or gunshots or whatever, that was part of the game. You know, people were playing this game. But the idea was that he was, again, working with children. You know, some of the camp people, too, worked with the children in the barracks. And others might have even helped be an assistant in one of the schools or whatever, even for the Nazi children, if they were working with children. So again, one possible purpose then is being dedicated to the growth of children and the support and education of children. And so we know then that if we can find a purpose, that it enriches us, it enlarges our focus away from our own worries, right? So the next slide, please. we know that purpose gives life meaning. And our own Charles Fillmore, who is one of the co-founders of Unity, said purpose gives real meaning to life. Purpose gives joy and zest to living. Again, it inspires us. It wakes us up. And he says, when our eye is on the goal, we're not so easily upset or perturbed. And purpose awakens new trains of thought, fulfills our passion, our deepest desires, our highest dreams. And I saw an interesting example of that when I lived in San Francisco. I would drive in every morning over the Golden Gate Bridge. I never got tired of that view, driving over the Golden Gate Bridge into the city. And at one point, I was noticing this toll collector, because they had actual humans taking the tolls back then. And he would do a little dance, he would sing a little song, he would make it fun, and he would brighten my day. And then I realized he was brightening hundreds of people's day as they went into the city. And he was enjoying that routine job that others took and were complaining all day long about taking the tolls, and this is monotony and blah, 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 and, complaining. I loved it, and I found out he was Johnny Mathis's brother. Now, some of you may not know Johnny Mathis, but he was the greatest singer of the time. And there was actually an article about him in the San Francisco Examiner, and that's how I learned it was his brother. It was kind of interesting. So anyway, if we can find our purpose or regenerate our purpose, I'm so grateful that I think I arrived at my purpose. Maybe I was in my 30s and I still wasn't quite sure what I was going to be doing. I dabbled in a lot of different things, and I had, back in my day, of course, and many of you might have, you're supposed to be a teacher or a nurse if you're a woman, right? That was pretty much the professional channel to go. My father wanted me to be an agricultural assistant, because we grew up in a little rural area, and there are these people, that run the 4-H clubs or something. I don't know if you know, but if you're from the country, you know those clubs. And I just couldn't quite see that. So I still was grappling with what do I do? But I sort of fell into teaching, which was funny. I resisted it in terms of education, but I joined the Peace Corps because I wanted some adventure. So the Peace Corps made me into a teacher. They gave me 3 or 4 months of training or whatever, and I became a teacher. And I realized that was in my heart all along, but I didn't recognize it. And so when I came back from the Peace Corps, I did teach for a while in inner city DC. But eventually I ended up in the corporate world and being a trainer and a teacher and a consultant around leadership. And I loved my job for 20-some years. I loved what I did. And I realized that made my heart sing. So what we're doing is looking for something that is our passion. And it doesn't have to be paid work. It doesn't have to be a vocation. But in a way, it's a spiritual vocation to say, what is my passion? What is my calling in life? Because that will continue to make your heart sing. You may have to work at another job, to make money to survive, but you could always do volunteer work or reach out and find a way of still accomplishing your passion, whatever that is. And so some people struggle with finding that passion and that whatever. So if you trust that it is there and you set the intention to find it, it will open to you. And with it, as Fillmore said, ideas. You can follow some ideas that are creative ideas that may give you a livelihood around it if that's what you're looking for as well. And that's the best of all possible worlds, where you can combine your livelihood with your dream purpose. So there's a story back in England, in actually the 1600s. There was a famous designer of cathedrals, Christopher Wren, who was rebuilding St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Some of you may have even been there to St. Paul's Cathedral. So it had burned down in that era, and Christopher Wren is moving through, watching. He had designed the rebuilding of it and worked on the design, and he was seeing the workers put things together to fulfill his dream. And so he was walking around. He met up with one of the bricklayers, and he stopped and said, "What is it you're doing here?" And the guy looks up at him and says, "Well, I'm a bricklayer. I work really hard here just to feed my children and family." And so Christopher Wren acknowledged him and then moved on to a next bricklayer. And he said, "What are you doing here?" And the next bricklayer said, "Well, I'm laying bricks, and I am building a wall." He saw a bit of a bigger picture there. I'm building a wall. So he walked on to the next bricklayer, who was singing as he worked and had a twinkle in his eye, and he said, "So, yes, what are you doing here?" And he said, "I am a builder, and I'm building a magnificent cathedral." He saw the big picture. He was excited about what he was contributing to. And so, if we can't do, big things, we can do little things with greatness. That's a quote from Mother Teresa. Look what she did. She loved. She was really an expression of love in her passion to serve the poorest, downtrodden in Calcutta. People on the street, brought them in. She bathed their sores. She called herself God's pencil with her passion. And so she was a beautiful role model for that. The next slide. So, in discovering your passion and purpose, here's some ways of getting in touch with it. So if you think about your life, just kind of do a life review. Sit and contemplate, and maybe even journal some things from life that brought you joy. Look for the moments that were your peak experience. When you felt fulfilled, when you felt you had offered something of value to the world. We all have done that, but we may not even acknowledge it in ourselves. So do that life review. Think about it, specifically how that felt and what that might translate into at this stage of your life, because it's never too late to be who you were meant to be. That's a quote from George Sand, who was an amazing writer back in the Victorian days, and took a male name to publish because women didn't get published at that time. And so think about your favorite activities and hobbies. How do you like spending your time? You're going to put all that together. And you might ask yourself, if you didn't have to work, if you're working now and it's not fulfilling, then imagine if you just inherited a fortune, what would you be doing? These are good questions to ask yourself in terms of finding your purpose, finding your calling. And who are your heroes? Who are your heroes? What did they offer the world? And so why are you attracted to them? You know, some are attracted to people with leadership skills. Well, that means you've got leadership skills. You can volunteer to be a team leader here. We've got some openings. You can find other groups where you can offer your service, and so there's many, many opportunities to do that. And just keep thinking, what would be different if you weren't on this earth next year? Would you spend the rest of your time doing what you do daily now? Or is there some passion that you would want to make sure you experience, or some thing that you could create and offer? So just reflecting on this and then going within and asking for divine guidance. The more you practice allowing, and I would say it's a practice of allowing, go into the silence, go for a walk in a beautiful spot, come use our labyrinth, relax, and be open to divine guidance. The more you open your heart and mind, you will be given. You will be given. And maybe the first time it doesn't come, but it will come in God time. Just keep allowing space for the answers to come. We live in the questions. We take that time communing with God, and the answers will come. And so that is my wish for all of us, that we find our passion again, or resurrect it, or find it anew, begin again, and knowing that everything is possible. And so it is.
This is a good song. Everybody knows this one, but I'm going to do the full version, but you can join in on the parts that you know. A lot of you know this, right? It's in every one of us. Yeah. And this is one of the first songs I ever heard walking into a New Thought church, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I just loved it for
yeah.
all the reasons that it's so great. Anyway. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up, close your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remember, it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I could be, but my see is better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket, seeing only half of the show. But there's scenery and lights, and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good, yeah, that it's so. It's in every one of us, every one of us, to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, every one of us. It's in every
Thank you, Rob. What a beautiful song. And thank you, Reverend Betty. I loved your toll worker dance. And I loved the part about purpose of bringing others' lives up, changing their lives, brightening their day. Because I love doing that because I think I'm kind of selfish because whose life does it brighten more than anyone's but yourself when you do that to other human beings? And I think we've all experienced that many times, so thank you. Okay, if our chaplains could come up. Here comes one, here comes two. Toll worker dance. Welcome, Jackie, Amy, and Matthew. After the service, if you guys would like prayer, time with the chaplain, meet one of these guys here in the sanctuary, and they are more than happy to be with you. I've got a couple slides here. Calling all children, create your future. Miss Cheryl is talking to the kids about being stewards of resources. And according to what I have here in my paper, it's a class to learn about becoming good earth stewards. So bring your kids, your grandkids, neighborhood kids, kids off the street to Miss Cheryl's class. Next slide. Our tithes and offering. Some couple affirmations here. If you'll repeat with me, divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive abundantly. As you leave the sanctuary, the ushers will have offering baskets. If nothing else, put your hand over it and bless our offerings today. We really appreciate that. Okay, our prayer for protection. If you'll stand and repeat with me, the light of God surrounds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you.
It's good. I haven't seen you at our podium in a long time.